Awesome. I guess we'll go ahead and get started then. Um, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, and then we are going to start. So to begin, we do want to make sure we've got two blocks, a blanket, strap is optional, and then we're going to start seated. So we'll go ahead and sit on whatever we're going to sit on. And the first thing I'd like you to do is just get comfortable in your seat. And I'm going to chit chat at you for a little bit while you sort yourself out in your seat. But I've found myself thinking about this observation that I've had. I don't know how many of you use Google. I don't know how many of you have noticed this or if you're even perturbed by this or not, but I seem to be slightly perturbed by this. So I have a Gmail account and I've noticed that for certain emails that pop up, Gmail automatically fashions a response that they think that I would send to that person. And it's kind of funny because I look at them and I was like, that is something I would say, and it's not true. And so it kind of bothers me that I'm like, I could just hit send, this sends it out, and it's completely fine. But it's not how I'm necessarily feeling in the moment. It is something that I would say, but it's not necessarily something that I would say in this moment. And so I've been sitting with that this week because the challenge that it asks of us when AI is attempting to help us is, do we want to allow ourselves to take the easy off route? Or do we want to give ourselves permission to be honest, to be present, to have the opportunity to gain the connection that comes only from human beings actually expressing what is true and present for them, which might not necessarily be in alignment or might not be what they would ordinarily say, but isn't unnecessarily true. I hope that word vomit made sense. So, in any case, in our practice today, we're going to focus on the things that we could do, that we ordinarily might do, and instead not do that. And we're going to focus on the things that are true in the moment. So, our sequence today is a little off kilter. I'm not going to lie, it's unusual. But hopefully, by the time we get to the final peak pose, if we want to call it that, we'll have a sense of stability and groundedness and foundation in the body because we went and did what was needed, what was true, even though it wasn't what was ordinary. So we'll hope that makes sense. In your seated posture, I want you to go ahead and find comfort if you haven't already. So if you need to remove any flesh from underneath your sit bones, great. If you want to change the cross of your ankles, great. If you want to move where your hands are seated, great. If you need to circle out the head, if you want to open and close the mouth, round the chest, flex the chest, maybe take a couple of twists, great. We're choosing the less easy option, which is to just not go to the default, to not do the easy route. And instead, choose what's true, what's present in this moment. And once you've worked through your body in whatever way it feels it needs in this moment, you'll soften your gaze, you'll close your eyes, and then you'll start to tune into the breath. And you'll notice where the breath feels most alert for you. And by that, I mean, where does it feel effortless and yet very vibrant? Where does it feel honest? Where does it feel just like it is a softening, but also it's just got a lot of power and vivacity to it, even if you're maybe a little bit uncertain or uncomfortable stepping into that space. And then we'll just take 3 or 4 breaths here, just consciously deepening your breath. So you might choose to let an audible exhale out and see if that helps you deepen the breath. You might just start to constrict the back of your throat and seeing if drawing an ujjayi pranayama starts to deepen your breath. But whatever option you've taken, just allow yourself to have permission to really set into that state of being, that state of presence. And then at the end of your third exhalation, you'll simply guide your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. With the hands and heart center, gently press the right hand into the left into the right. Allow the shoulders to soften, the sternum to lift, the thumbs to press. And then just take a moment of just reverence here for your ability to see what is true for you and taking the courageous step to honor that truth. Simply soften your chin towards your chest and then allow the hands to release and the head to come back to vertical. To start, we're going to make little fists with our hands. So you'll draw your thumbs to the base of your pinky fingers and wrap your fingers around your thumbs, and then bring your hands to the sides of your temples. And we'll just take about 5 of these. Good morning, Robin. And you'll draw your elbows towards each other and then open them out. And again, we're just going to pause and we're going to breathe. And we're going to do about 10 of these. So you might notice that as the elbows come together, we want to keep the wrists in line with the elbows. So there's no break in the wrists. And we want to see if maybe we can hug the shoulder blades towards each other as we open our elbows. We're just noticing how that feels as the shoulders start to move along the back of our spine. Or rather, I guess, along the back of our back body. They're not necessarily on our spine. Fantastic. And then after you've done about 10, because I'm sorry, I was not counting, we'll go ahead and release our hands alongside our hips. Take your right hand to your left knee. Bring your left hand behind you. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, take a little small rotation towards your left. And if you want to, you can continue to turn your head towards the back. So maybe the back of your head will come over your right shoulder. And then on your next in-breath, we'll inhale and come back through center. Take a moment to just notice what you notice. If you want to switch the cross of your legs, by all means do that. If you do not, by all means, no worries. Then we're going to try the other side. So left hand will come to the right knee, right hand will come back behind you. Again, inhale, lift up through the spine, sternum lifts, and then exhale, rotate towards your right. And maybe your face comes towards the back of your space and the back of your head comes over your left shoulder. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Nice work. Next inhalation, come back through center. Go ahead and release the hands. Now at this point, we're going to crawl forward. And you're going to make your way onto your hands and knees. And we haven't done this in a while, so it might not feel so much fun for a lot of us. But we're going to bring the back of our left hand to the floor. Your fingertips point back towards your left knee. And you might bend and straighten your left elbow a few times. Just noticing perhaps if you feel a stretch happening across the front of your left forearm. And after you've done 2 or 3 of those, release the left hand to the floor and then flip the back of the right hand to the floor. And then again, do the same thing, maybe bending and straightening that right elbow. Maybe you're completely in stillness. We're just pausing and we're breathing. Awesome. Bring both hands back to the mat. Take your left hand, turn your left fingers to the left, turn your left fingers back towards your left knee. And now this time you might shift your weight back a little bit and then come forward. And you're just going to take a couple of breaths here. And maybe again, you bend the elbow, maybe you don't. It sometimes just feels nice to keep the elbow straight as I lean back, but sometimes I like the knee bent or the elbow bent, and you just pause and pay attention. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and bring both hands back to neutral, and then turn the right hand to the right, and then back towards your right knee. And then again, maybe you pulse a little forward and back. Maybe you simply bend that right elbow, but in either case, we're just paying attention what feels like it is the most integral spot for us to be, integral choice for us to be making. Awesome sauce. All right, let's go ahead and come forward, both hands in neutral. Now, this one is going to be odd. You're going to lift the heels of your hands and come to the tips of your fingertips, and then you're going to lower the heels of the hands back down and spread the pinky fingers wide. So it feels like you're suctioning stuff up underneath your hands, and then you release the hands back down to the floor. And as we do this, you'll notice that you have to sort of engage your low belly into your back. So we're not finding a lot of rounding in the spine. Fantastic. We'll do about 4 more. And you might notice the backs of the arms start to feel like they're engaging. Might feel a little bit of energy there. Might feel a little bit of heat. And see if you can slow down just a little bit, especially as you come down. That's where the strength is coming in. All right, so that's our last one. Now from here, let's go ahead and lower our forearms down to the mat. From here, go ahead and crawl your knees back. And when your knees are in line, your hips are in line with your shoulders, you might choose to stay there with your knees down. You might curl your toes under and then lift your legs up and away from the floor. And then from here, you really want to hug your low belly away from the floor and into your spine and find yourself hovering in a forearm plank. And we'll breathe here for about 5 breath cycles. That's your 5 breath cycles. I'm not counting that. So a complete breath in, a complete breath out counts as 1 breath cycle. And after you've taken your 5, you'll go ahead and lower your knees down. And you'll make your way back to hands and knees. And you'll just take a moment to breathe. If you want to take a cat and cow, great. If you don't, great. But you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. What are those things in life that could be done on autopilot for you, the easy button or the Staples easy button, as it were? And then which are the options that you have to take that might require a little bit more deliberate action and might require a little bit more effort, but might be more rewarding in the end? All right. When you're ready, let's find ourselves into a neutral spine. Now, from here, we want to see if we can really start to hug our low belly into our spine and keep our spine in a, or pelvis specifically, in a neutral position. And then you're going to start to squeeze your right butt cheek. Squeeze your right butt cheek more than you think you need to, and you'll start to slide your right toes back, still squeezing your right butt cheek to send the right leg long. And then squeeze the right butt cheek and send the right leg long. And squeeze the right butt cheek and send the right leg long. And maybe the right leg might hover a few inches off the floor. Maybe it might lift in line with your right hip. But then when you're ready, you're going to squeeze the right butt cheek again and slowly lower the toes back to the floor if they lifted, and slowly drag your knee back to meet the left. And then you'll try that on the other side. So squeeze your left butt cheek, start to slide the left toes back, squeeze the left butt cheek, slide the left toes back, squeeze the left butt cheek. Maybe the toes float so far back that they float up. And then again, maybe the foot is in line with the hip. And then when you're ready to come down, you squeeze the back butt cheek and you lower the foot down if it lifted and slowly draw it back in towards its mate. Now you'll do that 2 more times on your own. And ideally, we want to make sure our head stays lifted with our spine. And you're pushing up through your hands with that same amount of energy we had when I was making you lift the heels of your hands up and away from the floor. And we're just pausing and we're breathing. Nice work. All right, it looks like we're on our second side, first set. Good job. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. So this is our last set. Squeezing the butt cheek, slowly sending the leg back, squeezing the butt cheek, slowly sending the leg back. Yep, and then squeezing the butt cheek, slowly lowering the leg back in. And last side, second set. And you're just noticing what you notice here. How does that feel? I notice that my right butt cheek is a lot less active and engaged than my left. Like I feel it trembling when I'm trying to do this. But you might find that both of your legs are equally balanced, and that's great if that's the case. All right, after you've done 3 sets each side, walk your knees, ankles, and shins together, both sets of toes under, and then sit tall on your heels for toe squat. And you'll just take a couple of breaths there and we'll pause. And the first thing that we're going to do while we're here is we're going to bring our hands behind us, interlace our fingers at the webbing, draw our shoulders up towards our ears, draw our shoulder blades together on our back. And then you can either reach your hands down towards the floor behind you or just straight back behind you. It's totally up to you. One of them will change whether you have an upper chest lift, or one of them, like if you go down, then your chest is going to lift up, or if you just reach your hands back, your chest isn't going to go anywhere. So it's up to you in terms of what you want to feel. And we'll breathe here for 3. We'll breathe here for 2. We'll breathe here for 1. Very gently release. Come forward onto your hands and knees. Extend the tops of your feet to the floor. Pitter patter your toes, having a happy little temper tantrum if you'd like. Conversely, you can take a counter stretch, lifting your knees, ankles, and shins up and away from the floor. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we're going to find our way up to stand. When we find our way up to stand, let's grab our block and we're going to go to a wall. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the block to the floor near the wall. And we are going to stand on said block. How do I show this where you guys can see more of me? And we'll do that. There we go. All right. So, first thing that we can do is we're going to start and we'll have our left leg on the block. And some of you will have your hands on your hips. Some of you will choose to have your hand on the wall just because it helps to have a sense of stability. So, the first thing you're going to do is just push down into your left foot and stand tall on the block. And the right leg is just going to hang down, and we're going to feel that. And you'll notice that with the foot on the block, you really kind of need to push down into the block in order to find some stability. And then notice that you can suck your hips up so it feels like your two hip bones are parallel to each other, and then the right leg can float. Awesome. And once you've got that, you might choose to move your right leg a little front and back, little tiny swings. And just notice what that feels like. Great. And then when you're ready to come to stillness, you'll come to stillness. You'll bend your left knee. You'll lower the right foot to the floor. You'll step off and you'll lower the left foot to the floor and you'll just notice what you notice. Great. And then we'll try it on the other side. So now you're going to step your right foot on the block and come up. And again, we just pay attention. How much work does the right foot need to do into the floor or into your block? And then can you suck your hips up so they feel parallel? And then from there, you might start to swing your left leg a little bit. Swing, a swing, a swing. And Roberta, see if you can keep the whole leg straight so the knee doesn't bend as it's moving. There we go. And then when you're ready to come to stillness, find yourself into stillness. Bend your right leg, lower the left foot to the floor, and then lower the right foot to the floor. Great. Let's step back on with our left foot. Now this one, you're going to do a few of them. So you're going to bend into your left knee, push down into your left foot, right leg comes up. Then you're going to bend your left knee and lower the right foot down. You're just going to do about 5 of these as though you're mounting a stair or something. You want to move as slowly as possible, especially as you descend. That's where you're building the strength in your leg, especially if you like hiking or anything like that. It's always the descent that's a little bit more precarious than the ascent. So you want to pay, there you go, Roberta. I'm going to pay attention to that. Awesome. The next time you push down into your left foot, let's stay there. Keep pushing down into your left foot, hug your hips up, and start to draw your right knee towards your chest. Fantastic. From here, you might bring your hands onto the front of your right shin. You might continue to hold onto your wall. But you're going to see if you can push down into the left foot, draw the right knee a little closer, and then let go of your right shin, right knee, and hover the leg there for 3, hover the leg there for 2, hover the leg there for 1. Slowly lower the right leg down, slowly bend the left knee, and step off your block. Notice if you notice anything between the sides. And then we'll try that on the other side. So now you're going to step your right foot onto your block. And again, take 5 of those little presses, bending into the right leg, straightening the right leg, lifting the left. And again, we really want to pay attention to the descent, how you can slowly transfer the weight into that left foot, how you can continue to bend into the right knee, right ankle as we do that. Do-do-do, do-do-do. And then notice if your abdomen is hugging in towards the spine if you're doing this or what it's doing. We're not going to control it. We just want to become aware. The next time you push down into your right foot, stay there. Hug your left hip up, draw the left knee up, and then maybe bring your hands to your front left shin. Now again, we're pushing down into our right foot. We're drawing our left knee up and standing as tall as we can. Some of you will let go of your hands and hover the leg for 3. We'll hover the leg for 2. We'll hover the leg for 1. Slowly lower the left leg, bend the right knee, and then step off your block. Fantastic. We are done with that. So you can go back to your space if you'd like, and we will continue on our course. Now, at this point, this is again one of the things that makes this an unusual sequence for today. We're going to stand at the top of our space. And when we find ourselves at the top of our space, you can put your blocks at the highest setting if you'd like. We're probably not going to need them for a little bit, but they can be there if you'd like. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. Cool. The first thing that we're going to do is shift all of our weight onto our right leg and float our left leg up. And then with our left leg up, hands are on our hips, you're going to start to bend your left knee. You're going to engage your left butt cheek a lot, and you're going to start to slide your left leg back until your toes touch the floor. And then you'll bring your spine slowly up to vertical, finding ourselves for like a high crescent lunge. Fantastic. Then you're going to scoop the belly to the spine, shift your weight forward, bend into your right knee, squeeze your left butt cheek, and draw your left knee back towards your chest. Great, we'll do that one more time. So again, bend your right leg, belly to spine, squeeze your left little butt, slide your left leg back, slowly lower your left toes down, then slowly bring the spine up. Yep. And then again, shift your weight forward, bend into your right knee, squeeze your left glute, draw the left leg forward, draw the left knee up, and then plant the left foot down. Yay, we did it. Okay, we're going to do that on the other side. So again, we're going to shift our weight to our left leg, draw our right knee up, start to bend your left knee, shift your weight forward back, or shift your weight forward, squeeze the back of your right leg, slide the right leg back, lower the right toes down, and then slowly bring the spine up. Yep. And then shift your weight forward, squeeze your right butt cheek, push down into your left leg, draw the right knee up. Great. One more time. Bend your right knee. Actually, you can think of engaging both glutes if you'd like. I find that on my right leg specifically, I need a little bit more support. And then once the toes are down, again, you'll shift your weight forward, squeeze the back of your butt cheek, come up to stand, and lower the leg down. Yay, we made it. All right. Turn to face the long edge of your mat. And you'll separate your feet about 3 or 4 inches apart. 3 or 4 inches, wow. 3 or 4 feet apart, depending upon how wide your legs are and how long your legs are. And then you're going to turn your toes out, your heels in. With your hands still on your hips, you want to think of sucking your hips up as you start to bend your knees. We're just going to take 3 or 4 of these. And as you bend and straighten your legs, the goal is to make sure that we're not sending our butt back and our chest forward, but instead we're just sort of descending straight down as though we would in a grand plie in second position. So just going straight down and up. All right, 2 more. Straight down and up. And last one. All right, this one we're going to stay. Now, once you're in the depth of your knee bend, I want you to make sure that your knees are aligned over your toes. And for some people, I know that for me, it feels like I turn my toes in just a little bit so that I've got real external rotation happening in my thighs. And then I can squeeze my outer butt cheeks quite a bit. And some of you will bring your hands to heart center and be like, wow, Jessica, that's a lot. I'm not sure I like that. So see if you can breathe through it. And then notice if you can maybe bend your knees a little bit more, keeping the chest upright. On your next exhale, you're going to push through the legs, straighten your legs, and push the floor away. Great. Once both of your legs are straight, turn your toes in so your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips, and then we'll just hinge forward at our hips. Once you find yourself halfway, go ahead and lower your hands to the floor. Maybe blocks might be needed here. And then just go ahead and fold all the way in. Once you find yourself in this forward fold, you'll notice we've done absolutely nothing for your hamstrings to open up. So this might feel quite intense. Let's go ahead and press on the knife edges of our pinky toes. Lift up through the inner arches of our feet, our inner kneecaps. And then notice what stretch happens along the backs of your hamstrings as you let your head descend and your breath deepen. Nice work. Next, in breath, halfway lift. So draw your heart and sternum forward. Pause here for a moment. Notice what happens as you draw your heart and sternum forward. If you can draw your belly to your spine while keeping that extension through the vertebra. And the next exhale, fold all the way in. Happy little forward fold. From here, start to bend your knees and slowly roll up your spine. And maybe you keep your legs straight if that feels better to you, but we're going to roll up our spine bone by bone. Nice work. Once you find yourself to vertical, hands will come back to your hips. You'll bend your knees. You'll step your feet together. And then you'll turn to face the front of your mat. So we're going to add those movements mechanically together and see what happens. And then we'll go back and add some other things. So standing at the top of your space, blocks might want to be at the top of your space, but you can always choose not to do that. We're going to shift our weight to our right leg, engage the core a little bit, and float your left knee up so your knee is in front of your chest. One-legged Tadasana. Now start to bend your right leg, squeeze your left butt, slide your left leg back, lower the left toes to the floor. And this time you're going to bring your spine all the way up, and you'll find first your high crescent lunge. From there, we'll spin the back foot down, and we're going to find a very shallow mini warrior two. So we've now got an external rotation happening in the front leg and internal rotation in the back leg. And then once you find your feet, you'll extend your arms out. Fantastic. Flip your front palm, your right palm, and reverse your warrior. Awesome sauce. Next in-breath, return back to warrior two. As you exhale, your hands come back to your hips. We're going to pivot on, or rather lift the ball of our back foot. So that's our left foot. Turn towards the front of your mat. Back to that high crescent lunge, which is why we got a mini one. Shift your weight forward. Bend into your right leg. Squeeze your left glute. Draw your left knee forward. Awesome sauce. And lower the left foot down. Awesome. Now, of course, we have to do all that on the other side. So we'll start by shifting our weight into our left foot. Draw your right knee up towards your chest. Start to bend your left leg. Shift your torso forward. Squeeze your right glute. Slide your right leg back. Lower the right toes to the mat. And then once you've got contact with the floor, bring your spine up to vertical. Once your spine's vertical, spin the back foot down for warrior two. Then go ahead and open your arms. Flip your front palm and inhale, reverse your warrior, left arm coming up. As you're ready, return to warrior two. Bring your hands back to your hips. Raise to the ball of your back foot. Pivot to the top of your mat. Shift your torso forward, bend into your left leg, squeeze your right glutes, draw your right knee up, and then lower the right foot down. Fantastic. You get to do that one more time on your own on each side. And you can make your warrior two, your high crescent lunge, as big as you want or as small as you want. Ideally, being a little bit minier is a little bit more contained. So when you're ready, go ahead and start. So we'll start by, again, shifting the weight to the right leg. The left leg floats up. You have to engage the back body in order to slowly reach that foot back and down. Once you find the contact, you can spin the foot down for warrior two. And then when you're ready, you take your reverse warrior. From there, you return back to Virabhadrasana 2. Your hands come back to your pelvis. You lift your back foot. You pivot to the top of your space. You shift your torso forward. You bend into the supporting leg. You squeeze the moving leg or the glute of the moving leg, and then you lower the leg down. Awesome sauce. Last time, left side. So weight shifts to the left leg. Right leg floats up. Engage the right glutes. Bend the left knee. Slide the right leg back. Lower the toes to touch the floor. Spin the foot down. Open to warrior two. Flip your front palm and reverse your warrior. And when you're ready, return to warrior two. Hands come back to your hips. Lift the back heel. Pivot the hips forward. Shift your torso forward. Bend into the supporting leg. Bring the foot up. Fantastic. We made it. All right. Now, once we're there, just take a moment to shake things out. If that was hard, if that was crazy, I am sorry, but we're going to move on. And we just want to give ourselves permission to be with the hard things. I think that's one of the fun things about AI is it does automate a lot of things. It makes our lives easier. And sometimes the hard thing is the best thing, but we don't necessarily know it unless we do it. All right, so last two things. Your feet can either be hip distance apart or your feet can be together. Personally, I like my feet hip distance apart. You choose whatever's going to work for you. So we're going to start to bend our knees and sit as low as we can. So some of you might notice this is mirroring that primitive squat that you were sitting in earlier, Steve. Some of you may notice you want to put a blanket under your heels. Some of you may come all the way down into what could be a malasana or a primitive squat. And we're just going to see how low we can get. And then, of course, because we're going to do this, I'm going to make you push down into your feet. And you're going to come back up to stand. We have to have the full strength to come all the way back up. Yeah, nice work, people. All right, we're going to do that again. Again, your feet can be together. Your feet can be apart. This time you're going to raise. You're going to do what we would call a plie. And you're going to have to come onto the balls of your feet. So imagining that your spine is straight against a wall, you're going to slide down. And at some point, you'll notice that your heels lift. Your heels will stay lifted the whole time, and you'll find yourself into that squat. And then once you've gotten there, you again come up as though you're sliding your wall or your back up a wall. Yay, we did it. All right, that's done with your leg stuff. We did all that to see what happens when I make you guys do heart openers. So we'll see how that works. All right, so standing at the top of your space, let's go ahead and just fold forward over our hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Once you find yourself in your forward fold, this is your first proper Uttanasana of the day. So just notice what happens if you shift your weight forward a little bit so your weight's equal over the balls of your feet and your heels. Notice what happens if you feel that energy coming up the backs of your legs, up to your pelvis. The pelvis comes forward, the belly comes forward, the chest comes forward, and the head comes forward and down. Nice work. From here, let's go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your left leg back, step your right leg back, happy plank pose. Take 3 breath cycles here. Big breaths in, big breaths out. And you just notice, can you draw the belly away from the floor into the spine? Can you engage your happy little glutes on the back? On your next in breath, go ahead and shift your weight forward, and slower than you want to, lower your torso to the floor in one piece. Nice control, guys. Nice. Once you're down onto your belly, again, you'll go ahead and pull your heart and sternum forward and through baby cobra. Notice what happens here if you engage your happy glutes a little bit. Press the tops of your feet into the floor a little bit. How does that feel in your low back? And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, come through hands and knees. And then exhale, press back to a child's pose position. Maybe knees are together for today. And in this child's pose today, I want you to feel what it feels like to release the tops of your toes onto the floor, the top of the foot, the top of the ankle, the shins, the knees, the quads, up through the hips, letting them be heavy. Your belly becomes heavy, your chest becomes heavy, your elbows, your head, your forearms, your wrists, your fingers. Just notice all of that weight coming down into the floor. And then when you're ready, you'll sit tall on your heels. Go ahead and stack your right hand on your left as though you're holding water. And you'll set them right on top of your lap. You'll soften your gaze and close your eyes just for a bit. And you just pause and you breathe. And you just notice what you notice here. Are the shoulders over your hips? Are your ears over your shoulders? Does your chest feel open? Awesome. We'll come back to the shape a little bit later, but for now, I just want you to notice what you notice. And then make your way to hands and knees. Curl your toes under and make your way back to downward facing dog. So again, I mentioned we didn't do anything for your hamstrings. So we're going to bend just our right knee and shift our pelvis just a little bit. So you bend just the right knee and notice that the pelvis shifts. And then notice what's happening on the back of your left hamstring, left calf, left back of ankle. And then when you're ready to explore the other side, you bend both knees and then you straighten just the right leg. So the left knee is now the only one bent. The pelvis shifts a little bit. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what's happening along the back of that straight leg, right leg. Great. When you're ready, draw both knees to bend and then straighten both legs. Both knees to bend. That's funny. From here, we'll start to walk our feet towards our face, and you'll find yourself in a forward fold. Once you're in Uttanasana at the top of your space, make sure your feet are hip distance apart. And then from here, inhale, halfway lift, draw your heart and sternum forward and through. Pause here, really draw the belly to the spine, reach the sternum forward, send the pubic bone back. Yep. And then on your next in-breath, come all the way up to stand. Once you're there, you might choose to just let the arms hang, or you might want to reach the arms up and find a little bit of an upper body reach since we haven't really done that yet. And again, you're going to root down through the feet, lift up through the chest, lift up through the fingers. From here, let's interlace our hands and bring our hands to the back of our skull. Okay, root down into both feet, but most specifically that left leg. And we're going to lift up with the left elbow and over to the right. So we're pushing down into the left foot. We're lifting up through the left elbow. We're hugging our belly to our spine, and we're taking a happy baby side bend. On your next in-breath, you'll come back up through center. Maybe you switch the cross of your fingers if you'd like. And then as we exhale, we'll go to the other side. So again, the right elbow is reaching up towards the sky. We're rooting down into our right foot. We're drawing our belly to our spine as our left elbow drips towards the floor. On your next in-breath, we'll come back up to center. Now from here, push your hands into your head into your hands. Start to lift your elbows to where the wall and the ceiling meet. And you might even start to lift the chest towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. And you've just got this little baby back bend happening here. Again, belly's coming to spine. On your next in-breath, bring your spine completely back to vertical. And then as you exhale, really hug your belly to your spine. Maybe bend your knees. We're going to hinge forward at our hips, coming all the way down to a forward fold. Once you find yourself in that forward fold, you may straighten your legs if that feels good to you, or keep them bent. Notice what happens if you draw your chin to your chest just slightly as you push the occipital bones lightly. There's very little effort, maybe 1% of your energy into your thumbs and your thumbs into your occipital bone. Notice that weight of energy sort of cascading from your butt to your head. Fantastic. From here, gently release your hands to the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Heart and sternum reach forward, belly comes to spine. Yep. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your right leg back. Step your left leg back, plank pose, 2 breath cycles. A complete inhalation, followed by a complete exhalation. Belly's hugging into spine. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower belly, chest, and thighs, all at the same rate to touch the floor. Nice. This time, once you're down, you'll start to engage your legs. Inhale, reach your legs back so far that they float up. Notice that you can squeeze your happy little glutes here. And then from here, isometrically pull your heart forward, your hands back, draw your chest forward, draw the shoulder blades onto your back, and maybe hover your hands away from the floor for 3. Maybe hover the hands away from the floor for 2. Maybe hover the hands away from the floor for 1. Gently lower all the way back down. Okay, starting with the belly to spine, inhale either to hands and knees or plank pose. Belly to spine, yep. And then exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. You just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Notice what you notice. Great. Next in-breath, raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, walk your feet to your hands. Once you find yourself at the top of your mat, feet hip distance apart, inhale, halfway lift once again. Pause here, draw your belly to your spine, reach your heart and sternum forward, and then exhale, fold in, finding a little bit more depth. Great. From here, inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. Excuse me. And pause for a moment, reaching down through the legs and up through the arms. And then exhale, arms out and to the sides and to the floor. All right, let's move on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. Once your hands are over your head, interlace your hands if you can. Steeple your fingers straight up. Root down into your left leg and take a happy baby side bend over to your right. Again, we're drawing our belly into our spine. We're rooting down through our left leg and we're making sure our shoulders and hips are roughly just in a side bend versus a twist. Inhale, come up through center. As you're ready, maybe you switch the cross of your hands and then exhale over to the left side. So again, rooting down through the right leg, up, drawing belly up into the spine. Great. Inhale, come up through center. Exhale, release the hands alongside your hips. Go ahead and interlace your hands at the low back. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back. And again, you have the option just sort of scrubbing your thumbs down your sacrum and lifting your sternum up and hugging your elbows together. Maybe you reach your arms back. Maybe you reach your arms down. But we're thinking of really hugging that belly to the spine. The sternum lifts up, a happy baby back bend. Fantastic. And then inhale, come back up to vertical. Keeping your hands here, scoop the belly to the spine. We'll start to hinge forward at your hips. Once you find yourself all the way forward, you may choose to keep your hands at your butt. You might reach your arms up to the sky and maybe over your head. You might bring your hands down your legs and to the floor. You choose what option is working for you. So sometimes getting out of autopilot is a little hard. We just notice. Those of you with your hands behind you, bring your hands to your butt. Slide your hands down your legs. Bring your hands to the floor. And then from here, we'll all inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step your left leg back, step your right leg back, plank pose. One breath cycle here. The end of your exhalation, you'll inhale and shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, all the way down to the mat. Great. This time, when we find ourselves onto our belly, bring your hands to the back of your head and interlace your fingers. That's good. I got you, Robin. And with your hands on the back of your head, you'll notice that that same thumb region comes to the occipital lobe, and you'll push slightly the back of your head into your thumbs. Now let's start with our legs first. So you're going to engage your glutes. You're going to start to reach your toes so far back, and then you're going to start to reach your sternum forward. And ironically enough, the more you push your thumbs into your head into your thumbs, you'll be able to lift your head. And then you'll lift your legs and your head, and we'll pause and we'll breathe here for 3. We'll pause and we'll breathe here for 2. We'll pause and we'll breathe here for 1. Gently lower all the way down. Nice work. Release your hands alongside your ribs. Curl your toes under. Draw your belly to your spine and inhale through hands and knees or plank. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 3 breaths. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Awesome. With control, draw your right knee to your nose and gently plant the foot between your hands. Awesome. Now, from here, this is where our blocks might be used or maybe not, but we're going to start to shift more of our heart forward. Press into your right leg, sweep your right arm back, sweep your left arm back, push into your feet, and maybe you find your spine on a diagonal, and maybe you stay there. Maybe you keep reaching your spine all the way up for high crescent lunge. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you reach your arms all alongside your ears. Maybe you stay there. And we just pause and we breathe, and we notice the stability that we surprisingly have in that transition considering. Next, exhale, hands come down to the floor. Once your hands come down to the floor, you'll lower the back knee down to the mat, pat it if you would like, and extend the top of your left foot onto the floor. Now we want to make sure that we're forward so there's no weight on our left knee, and then we'll bring our hands to the belly of our right thigh. Now from here again, we're really pushing a lot into that right foot. We're drawing our left knee forward. We're lifting up through our sternum. And some of you will stay right here, scooping that belly to spine. Some of you will reach your left arm forward. Again, you might stay here, belly to spine. You might take a happy baby side bend, belly to spine. But again, we're just paying attention. Our right leg is working a lot. Our glute, especially on that left side, is actually working here. And then on your next in breath, we're going to come up through center. As you exhale, lower the left hand, lower the right hand, shift your weight back and straighten your front leg long. This would be a great opportunity for your blocks if you would like to use them. And then again, we'll peel the sole of the right foot up and away from the floor. Press down into your right heel a lot. Isometrically draw your right heel back, your right outer hip back. And at the same time, see if you can draw your sternum forward. Then draw your belly to support your spine. So your belly is coming away from your right thigh, even though you're finding this extension, this arch in the back. Great. Next in breath, shift your weight forward, bend the front knee, plant the palms, and step yourself back to downward facing dog. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Great. Let's go ahead and move on. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. As you exhale, step your left foot quietly between your hands. Great. Again, this might be an opportunity to use your blocks or not, but we'll start to shift our torso forward. Scoop your belly away from your left thigh. Sweep your left arm back. Sweep your right arm back. And maybe lift your torso until you find yourself in that diagonal. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you come all the way up with the spine. Maybe your hands stay right here. Maybe your arms join the party and they reach up and overhead. But we just notice how stable we feel. We did all those crazy things earlier, but it's giving us a lot more strength here, stability than we might ordinarily think. And then we'll exhale, lower our hands back down to the floor or the blocks. Lower your right knee down to the mat. Again, the right knee's back quite a bit. So I'm not really in a 90-degree angle. I'm more like, I don't know math that well. I do know math that well, but I don't know what kind of angle that is. That's almost 180 degrees. And we're going to push down into our left foot a lot. You push down into that left foot, and then you draw your torso forward. And we're really thinking of scooping that belly to the spine. And maybe you stay here, hands on the front thigh. Maybe you reach your right arm up. And happy to stay here, belly to spine, belly to spine, belly to spine. Maybe you take a happy baby side bend over to the left, belly to spine, pushing into left foot, light engagement on the right quad glute. Awesome. Next in breath, go ahead and come back up through center. As you exhale, hands come back to floor or blocks. Shift your weight back, straighten your front leg long, that's the left leg, and then peel all 5 toes of that left foot back in line with your left knee. Now again, we first push straight down into our left heel, and then you isometrically pull your left heel, left outer hip back. And then from there, see if reaching your heart and sternum forward gives you a fun sensation on the back of your hamstring. And then against all that, or in addition to all that, scoop your low belly away from your thigh, away from the floor towards your spine. And you pause and you breathe. Nice work. Next in breath, let's go ahead and bend the front knee, plant the foot, plant the hands, step yourself back to downward facing dog. Okay. From down dog, inhale, come forward into plank. In plank, lower in one piece all the way down to your belly. Okay, once we find ourselves on the belly this time, bring your hands to your low back and interlace your fingers at the webbing. This one's going to be slightly weird. I want you to first draw your shoulders up towards your ears and draw your shoulder blades together on your back. Lift your hands a couple of inches away from your sacrum. Keep that. Engage your legs. Start to reach your legs so far back that they float up, and then your arms reach back too, and your chest lifts up, and suddenly you find yourself in a variation of locust pose. And you'll notice here that the more you lift your hands away from your pelvis, the higher you might get your chest. And then notice if you can breathe into your armpit regions, a side ribs, a side waist, and then keep squeezing through your glutes and lifting your legs. Nice work. Next, exhale, lower all the way down. Bring an ear to the mat and take 2 breath cycles here, just resting. Switch ears. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and inhale, hands and knees, And exhale back to that child's pose. So knees together, arms in front, and just notice. Notice the snail energy, the serpentine energy that's coming from your toes, through the fronts of the ankles, fronts of the shins, up the kneecap, through the thighs, through the pelvis, through the belly, through the chest, through the throat, through the shoulders, through the elbows, through the forearms, through the wrists, through the fingers. Nice. All right. Inhale, come forward to hands and knees. Exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Notice if you can lift and spread your toes. Notice what that does when you lower the toes back down. From here, let's inhale, press to the balls of our feet. Exhale, bend your knees and walk to the top of your space. Once you find yourself at the top of your space, feet hip distance apart, again, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, fold all the way in. One more time, inhale, halfway lift. Pause here, press your fingers into your shins into your fingers. Scoop your belly away from the floor into your spine, and then inhale, come all the way up. Once your spine is vertical, just take a moment to reach your arms up and over your head once again. And I want you to root down through the legs, lift up through the fingers. And then on your next exhale, you're going to bend your knees and draw your hands to heart center and sit for Utkatasana. Now for this one, you might soften your gaze or close your eyes, but we're going to push the palms into each other. We're going to scoop the belly on the right side and rotate our chest towards the right a little bit. And you just notice what you notice. How's the weight in the feet? Can you scoop the belly on the right side and maybe draw more of the left shoulder forward into that twist? Next in breath, come back through center. As you exhale, we'll scoop the belly on the left side. We'll roll our right shoulder forward. We'll sit low. We're just pausing and breathing. And low is relative. It might feel really low for you today, and that's great. Next in breath, go ahead and come back through center. As you exhale, push through the feet, straighten the legs, lift the heart and sternum up. Cool. Now, at this point, some of you might want to return to your wall. Some of you will stay exactly as you are. We're going to try Dhanurasana. It's been a long, or sorry, Natarajasana, little dancer pose. It's been a while since we've done that. So we'll see how this goes. Let's go ahead and inhale, reach both arms up and overhead. Cool. Now, if you are at a wall, you want to have the wall in front of you, ideally. Maybe to the side if you've got your balance, but in front of you is probably better. So reach up through the arms, and we'll keep reaching up through your left arm, and then you'll bend your right knee. Draw your right hand down to grab the top of your right ankle. Fantastic. Now, some of you will like lifting up through your left arm. Some of you will want to bring your left hand to your left hip. With the left hand on the left hip, you want to think of sucking your hips up like we did on that block. And then you'll start to kick your right leg back into your hand. Now, from there, you might just stay here, or you might start scooping your belly to your spine and lifting your reaching your chest forward as your right leg goes back. And you notice the wobbling in the legs, maybe kicking more of the right foot allows you to lift the right leg. And then when you're ready to come out, you slowly come back out of it. Your right leg will come in front of you, and then you lower the right leg down. Hooray, we did it. Okay, and then we're going to try the other side. So again, both arms reach up, and the only reason we're doing this is because it creates that length. You automatically have to scoop your belly to your spine when your arms are up. And we want to keep that as you start to bend your left knee and grab your left ankle with your left hand. Maybe your right hand stays up. Maybe it comes to your hip. But again, you'll start to kick your left foot back into your left hand. And then you lift up onto that right leg as you start to reach your chest forward, kick the leg back, and come forward. Nice work. And when you're ready to come out, you gently come out. You release the left leg in front of you, and you plant the foot down. Cool. Do we want to try that again, or are we done? We've not done dancer in years. Do it again? Okay, go ahead and try it again. And the weird thing is the trick comes from that standing leg, really sucking up on the standing leg and then kicking back into the moving leg as you pull in. And so you just notice what you notice. It's not our autopilot, it's something very different. But what are we discovering as we do it? Our balance is being tested, our thoughts are being tested, our body's being tested. Yeah, you guys are doing great. Fantastic. And be sure to visit the other side. Nice, Roberta. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Good, Robin. Yeah, nice, Barbara. Nice, Erica. Nice, Steve. Yeah, good job, guys. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what you're experiencing as you do it. So the wobbles are great. The fighting for it is great. Awesome. And then once you're balanced between both sides and you're like, yeah, Jessica, we're done with that, you're going to go back to the top of your space, forward fold. I'd like to tell you we're done, but I have a few more things I wanted to see if you guys want to try. Okay. So once you find yourself in that forward fold Uttanasana, great. From here, let's go ahead and inhale halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step yourself back to downward facing dog first. Find that neutral spine. And then as you're ready, you'll come forward into your plank pose. And then when you're ready, slower than you want to, lower your spine all the way to the mat. Okay, we're going to do a series of back bends now. The first one is up to you. You might choose to do a locust pose. You might choose to do a cobra. You choose whichever one you want to do. But the next one we're going to do is a Dhanurasana. So bow pose. And the third one we're going to do is Ustrasana, camel. So you choose your first one, whichever one you want to do. I would encourage the locust because it engages the whole back body. However, your body is not my body. So you choose whatever you want to do. And you just pause and you breathe. And then after you've done that, you lower all the way back down. Back bend number 2, go ahead and bend your knees. Reach around and grab the tops of your ankles. And you just pause here for a minute. Maybe you just want to stay right here. This might be a great place to stay. Tops of the thighs are on the floor. Maybe some of you will start to lightly press into your ankles. You'll draw your shoulders up and onto your back. You'll reach your tailbone back, and then you'll start to kick your legs back. And then as you kick your legs back, you might notice that you can lengthen your tailbone back even more and engage your glutes a little bit more, and then breathe into the side body a little bit more, then maybe lift the chest. And after you've taken 2 or 3 breath cycles there in this extreme pose, you're going to release. You're going to bring an ear to the mat, and you're going to take about 4 to 5 breaths. And as you're here on the floor, I want you to feel what it feels like to have the support of the floor underneath you, the support of the universe, the support of trusting that whatever is true for you is not only valid, but it's wanted, it's needed, it's a gift. And sometimes that thing isn't the auto default. It's the harder options that we all quietly, secretly make every moment, every breath, when we choose to just be present, or choose forgiveness, or choose kindness, switch ears, or choose whatever that thing is that you could ordinarily choose not to do, but instead you say you want to. Maybe it's speaking up. Maybe it's setting a boundary or stepping away. All right. When you're ready, let's go ahead and come up to hands and knees. Some of you might want to take a child's pose and just rest there for a couple of breaths. And if you go to happy child's pose again, just give yourself permission to be fully in it. What does the weight of your body releasing into the floor feel like? What does the support of your body holding up other parts of your body feel like? Okay. Those that are in child's pose, you're going to come again to sit on top of your shins, coming back to that Vajrasana position, stacking your right palm in your left, hands on top of your thighs, and then soften the gaze, close the eyes, and really notice what it feels like to have the weight of your sit bones over your heels, the weight of your shoulders. The palms are faced up, Barbara. Uh, Shoulders over your hips, ears over your shoulders. Yep, like we're holding water. And you just pause and you breathe. Awesome. And then as we're ready, stop. Open your eyes if your eyes are closed. And then we're going to try Ustrasana, camel pose. So some of you may choose to take that blanket and unfold that blanket and use that blanket to support your shins. Sometimes that just feels nice because on the tops of your kneecaps can fall off a cliff and there's not pressure coming into them. Some of you will bring, excuse me, blocks alongside your hips, outside of your feet. And it's probably not a bad idea to have them start at the highest setting. You can always turn them down if they're too high without too much struggle, hopefully. And then we'll go ahead and stand tall on our shins. And if you are using that blanket, the first thing you want to do is make sure when you're standing that your kneecaps feel like there's a bit of space and they can just sort of drop forward. Now, I've been harping on this all day, and this is the only reason why. In this pose, you really want to think of your belly coming to your spine, belly coming to your spine, belly coming to your spine. And we'll have our hands on our pelvis, on our sacrum. You can have them up or the fingers facing up, fingers facing down. It's totally up to you. Your toes can be long or your toes can be curled under. If your toes are long, that makes that a harder back bend. If your toes are curled under, it makes it a little bit less. So you choose what's going to work for you. First thing we're going to do is isometrically hug in towards our midline. Think of lifting your hips up like we did on that block. Scoop your belly to your spine. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back. And then just start by sort of leaning back. But as you're leaning back, you're really scooping your belly to your spine. Belly to your spine, belly to your spine, belly to your spine. And then at some point, you're like, wow, my sternum's almost up towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. And then maybe my head wants to go there too. And then at that point, some of you will stay right here, happy to breathe. Some of you will release your hands to the tops of your blocks and be like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to stay right there. Some of you might lower the blocks or reach your hands down towards your feet. Wherever you are is fantastic as long as you were breathing. And we're just pausing and we're breathing. And we're pausing and we're breathing, and our belly's coming to our spine, and we're just pausing and we're breathing and we're being with what is here. And then when you are ready to come out, if your hands went to the feet or the blocks, you'll slowly bring them back to your pelvis. Again, you draw your belly to your spine as you bring your spine up to vertical, belly to spine, belly to spine, belly to spine, and then slowly sit your butt back down. All right, that wasn't too bad, right? Yay. Yeah. Great. All right. We're not going to do that again. Lucky you. But you are going to come forward, forearms down, and you want to have your elbows slightly in line with your shoulders, or slightly in line of your shoulders, rather. You're going to curl your toes under. You're going to round your spine a wrap ton and find yourself into dolphin pose. So prep for Pincha Mayurasana. So push down through your forearms, lift up through your happy armpits, and then lift. Well, that looks very stable there, Roberta. Good job. Lift up through your hips. And you'll notice that sometimes, at least I notice that when I do a back bend before I do dolphin, it feels so much more liberating in my back. And then I can walk my feet even closer and maybe get even more where I might feel stable enough to lift one leg up and or maybe the other. But you choose. And if you're like, yeah, Jessica, that's not happening, I'm totally fine with that as long as you're fine with that. And after you've done whatever the heck you are doing or not doing, you'll find yourself into child's pose once again. And this time, I encourage you to come back to our original hand shape. So your pinky to your thumb to your pinky finger, wrap your fingers around your thumb, bring those thumbs into the hip crease, and then fold over your little fists. And with your hands in your gut like this, you can choose to be still here. That's a great thing. Some of you might slowly move your hands into your viscera, so you can sort of give yourself a little bit of a massage. Again, belly to spine. And if you're like, yeah, Jessica, I don't want to do any of that, that's fine too. All right. After you've taken a couple of breaths here, you'll bring yourself up to vertical. And then all of you are going to turn around and extend your legs straight and then slower than you want to lower all the way down onto your back. We are getting ready to cool down. So if you want to cover your body, great. If you want to make sure your props are somewhere near you, fantastic. But when you roll down, I do encourage you to take more time than you think because we want to have our organs engaged as we do that. So slowly to the mat, slowly to the mat. Slowly, slowly, slowly to the mat. Yay! Look at that Pilates roll down. You guys are fantastic. Okay. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Yay! And then once you finally get there, just let it all go. Plant your hands wherever it feels comfortable to you and just take a couple of breaths here. Notice what you notice happening in the physical body. Notice what you notice happening maybe in the breath, in the mind, and in the emotions. All right. Some of you, well, no, all of us actually. Let's go ahead and bend our knees and plant our feet firmly on the floor. Open your arms out into a T shape. Push through your hips or your feet. Lift your hips, slide your butt to the right and put your butt back down. And then let your legs fall over to the left. Now, with your legs going over to the left, you might choose to keep the legs stacked right on top of each other. So that right leg is going to have to sneak forward. And then you might bring your left hand to the top of your right thigh. And notice that the closer your knees are to your chest, that changes the sensation you feel in your back. So you play with that. The closer the knees are to the chest, the difference that has in your low back. So you can play with that or just stay where you're at if you're comfortable where you're at. Wherever we are, we're going to push into the back of our head. We're going to lift our right shoulder, slide our right shoulder a little bit more to the right so that our left shoulder has room to come back to the floor. And then maybe you might turn your gaze over your right hand or continue to look up towards the sky. Again, some of you will stay here. Some of you might find it nice to bring your right hand to your right low back region and just tell yourself to breathe there. It's not on your butt. It's really like on your low back where your ribs are and that long space. You can really just encourage yourself to breathe into that back body space. Nice job. When you're ready to come out of this, you'll release that right hand if it's touching you, release the left hand, and then inhale, come back up to center. Take a moment in center in stillness just to observe. And then when you're ready to tackle the other side, you'll push through the feet, you'll lift the hips, you'll slide your butt to the left, put your pelvis back down, and then allow the legs to fall over to your right. And again, maybe the right hand comes to the top of the left knee. Maybe you keep those legs stacked right on top of each other. All of us will press into the back of our skull slightly, lift our right elbow shoulder to the right, and then that should allow more of your chest to roll to the left. And then again, maybe you just stay here. Maybe it might feel nice to have your left hand come to the left low back region to give yourself a reminder to breathe into those ribs. Awesome. If you're holding yourself with that left hand, gently release the left hand, gently release the right hand. Inhale, come back through center. Take a moment to recenter your pelvis underneath your shoulders. Okay, and then last little thing, just to make sure your pelvis is okay. With your knees bent, draw your feet together. And then we're going to open our knees about 6 to 12 inches. You're going to push through your feet. You're going to lift your hips high. And then slowly draw your legs towards each other. Once your legs come to the midline, squeeze them together as though you were trying to hold a dollar bill between your legs or a piece of paper. You don't want that to let go of or be lost. And then slowly lower your butt to the floor. Once your pelvis touches, let the spine or the pelvis release to neutral. And then open your knees and lift your hips and do that again. And you'll just do that 3 more times on your own. So a total of 4. We're just trying to engage the backs of the legs a little bit, the glutes, hopefully so your pelvis, your sacrum feels better before you go into Shavasana. So Steve, your feet stay glued together. Bring your pelvis back down. Yep. Okay. And then open your knees first. Pelvis down, Steve. Knees first. Push through the feet, lift the hips. Yep. Now slowly squeeze your legs together. Yep, and then squeeze the knees together at the top and slowly lower down. Yeah, it just changes what you feel in the back of the hamstrings and the glutes. Erica, make sure you're working evenly between right and left side. There you go. Yeah, the right one doesn't want to participate. Maybe that's your left. Yep. Okay. Yeah, yep. Good, Roberta. Good, Roberta. Yep. Yep. Great. Awesome. And after you've done your total of 4, yeah, there you go, Robin. You'll find yourself into Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees open splayed like a book. I would encourage you to use those blocks to support the outer edges of your thighs, but if you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, that's fine too. And then notice where you would like to plant your hands. Notice if you want to cover your torso with a blanket. We're going to stay here for a couple of moments, a couple of breath cycles. And you might also notice that when you find yourself in Supta Baddha Konasana, sometimes it feels nice to extend your legs a little bit so the feet are further away from your pelvis. And sometimes it feels nice to have the legs pretty close, the feet pretty close to the pelvis. So you notice what feels appropriate to you at this moment. And I guess by appropriate, I mean, what makes you feel held? What makes you feel stable? What makes you feel secure, nourished, cherished, whatever word we want to use there. Awesome. And we're going to spend about 3 to 4 minutes here. And then at any point, if you feel like you would like some other pose to be your final resting pose, by all means, choose that. But as we settle into the shape for now, I would encourage you to just notice where the breath feels vibrant. Notice where it feels full and easy and joyful. And as you notice where the breath is easily moving, your awareness might begin to extend to where maybe the breath doesn't feel so welcome, or maybe it feels a little scary or stuck or tight or however you describe that experience. And for the next few moments, the invitation is to simply be present to the experience that you're having, the pleasurable, as well as maybe the unknown, the unfamiliar. I'll go ahead and leave you here with you for the next few moments, the next few breaths, and then I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When movement does call you, allow it to re-enter your body in whatever way feels comfortable or curious or energizing or supportive to you. If you're in stillness, again, stay as long as you'd like. If you're in movement, make your way to your right side and pause for a few breath cycles on your side. If you're on your side, you'll start to press your top hand into the floor and draw yourself to a tall and vertical seat. And when you are vertical, I do encourage you to take your time to sit on something. And then take the time to fidget in any way that you need to in order to feel stable yet effortless. And then you'll just take 3 breaths here. In these final few moments as you're here with your breath, I'd like to ask you, what is the human thing that you did this week? I might have asked something of you that you could have easily not done, but doing it made all the difference. And as you sit with that, I'd like you to then ask, what strength of character did that reveal to you, or what new insights did you have? And then finally, how might you use this strength, this gift, going forward? In many ways, I think our practice is here to remind us of the gift of our humanity, to train us to use those muscles and strengthen those muscles, even when it's messy, even when it doesn't look the way we think it should, or there's a little bit of struggle or uncertainty. It gives us the capacity to remind ourselves that yes, we can do this human thing, because after all, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and maybe that's part of the reason that we're here. We'll go ahead and complete our practice by drawing our hands to heart center. Really press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum. Your sternum lifts into your thumbs, and the shoulders soften away from your ears. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through your nose. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. That light, that breath, that awareness within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the awareness within each of you. Namaste.